kids, I'm Celestine the storyteller, and today we're continuing chapter 2 of the City of Ember. Let's begin now. She felt strong and speedy and sure-footed. She glanced at her reflection as she ran past the window of a furniture repair shop. She liked the look of her long dark hair flying out behind her, the long legs in their black socks, and her flapping red jacket. Her face, which had never seemed especially remarkable, looked almost beautiful because she looked so happy. As soon as she came to Garden Square, a voice cried, "Messenger! Her first customer!" It was old Natty Prynne, calling to her from the bench where he always sat. "This goes to Ravenet Parsons, 18 Silverton Square," he said. "Bend down." She bent down so that her ear was close to his whiskery mouth. The old man said in a slow, hoarse voice, "My stove is broken. Don't come for dinner. Repeat." Lina repeated the message. "Good," said Natty Prynne. He gave Lina 20 cents, and she ran across the city to Silverton Square. There she found Ravenet Parsons, also sitting on a bench. She recited the message to him. "Old turnip head," he growled. "Lazy old flea face. He just doesn't feel like cooking." No reply. Lina ran back to Garden Square, passing a group of believers on the way. They were standing in a circle, holding hands, singing one of their cheerful songs. It seemed to Lina there were more believers than ever. These days, what they believed in, she didn't know, but it always must make them happy. They were always smiling. Her next customer turned out to be Miss Polster, the teacher of the fourth-year class. In Miss Polster's class, they memorized pages from the book of the City of Ember every week. Miss Polster had charts on the walls for everything, with everyone's name listed. If you did something right, she made a green dot by your name. If you did something wrong, she made a red dot. "What do you need to learn, children?" she always says in her resonant priestess voice, "is the difference between right and wrong in every area of life, and once you learn the difference," here she would stop and point to the class, and the class would finish the sentence. "You must always choose the right in every situation." Miss Polster knew what the right choices was. Now here was Miss Polster again, looming over Lina and pronouncing her message. "To Anisette Front, 39 Hum Street. As follows," she said, "my confidence in you has been seriously diminished since I heard about disreputable activities in which you engaged on Thursday last." "Please repeat." It took Lina 3 tries to get this right. Red dot for me," she said. Miss Polster did not seem to find this amusing. Lina had 19 customers that morning. Some of them had ordered ordinary messages. I can't come on Tuesday. Buy a pound of potatoes on your way home. Please fix my front door. Others had messages that made no sense at all, like Miss Polster's. But it didn't matter. The wonderful part about being a messenger was not the messages, but the places she got to go. She could go into the houses of people she didn't know, and hidden alleyways and little rooms in the backs of stores. In just a few hours, she discovered all kinds of strange and interesting things. For instance, Miss Sample, the mender, had to sleep on her couch because her entire room, almost up to the ceiling, was crammed with clothes to be mended. Dr. Felina Tower had the skeleton of a person hanging against her living room wall, its bones held in place with black string. I study it, she said when she saw Lina staring. I have to know how people are put together. At a house on Calu Street, Lina delivered a message to a worried-looking man whose living room was completely dark. I'm saving on light bulbs, the man said. And when Lina took a message to the cafe, she learned that on certain days the back room was used for a meeting place for people who like to converse about great subjects. Do you think an invisible being is watching over us all the time? She heard someone ask. Perhaps, answered someone. There was a long silence. Then again, perhaps not. All of it was interesting. She loved finding things out, and she loved running. And even by the end of the day, she wasn't tired. Running made her feel strong and big-hearted. It made her love the places she ran through and the people whose messages she delivered. She wished she could bring all of them the good news, so they desperately wanted to hear. Late in the afternoon, a young man came up to her, walking with a sort of sideways lurch. He was an old-looking person. He had a very long neck with a bump in the middle, and teeth so big they looked as if they were trying to escape from his mouth. His black bushy hair stuck out from his head in untidy tufts. I have a message for the mayor at the gathering hall, he said. He paused to let the importance of this be understood. The mayor, he said. Did you get that? I got it, said Lina. All right. Listen carefully. Tell him delivery at 8 from Looper. Repeat back. Delivery at 8 from Looper, Lina repeated. It was an easy message. All right. No answer required. He handed her 20 cents, and she sprinted away. The gathering hall occupied with one entire side of Harkins Square, which was the city's central plaza. The square was paved with stone. It had a few benches bolted on the ground here and there, as well as a couple of kiosks for notices. Wide steps led up to the door to the gathering hall. Fat columns framed its big doors. The mayor's office was in the gathering hall. So were the offices of the clerks who kept track of which buildings had broken windows, what street lamps needed repair, and the number of people in the city. There was the office of the timekeeper, who was in charge of the town clock. And there were offices for the guards who enforced the laws of Ember, and now and then putting pickpockets or people who got in fights into the prison room. A small one-story structure with a sloping roof that jutted out from one side of the building. Lina ran up the steps and through the door into a broad hallway. On the left up was a desk, and at the desk sat a guard. Baron Snowd, assistant guard, said a badge on his chest. He was a big man with wide shoulders, brawny arms, and a thick neck. But his head looked as if it didn't belong to his body. It was small and round and topped with a fuzz of extremely short hair. His lower jaw jutted out and moved a little from one side to side as if he were chewing on something. When he saw Lina, his jaw stopped moving for a moment, and his lips curled upward in a very small smile. "Good day," he said. "What business brings you here today?" "I have a message for the mayor." Very good, very good." Baron Snowd heaved himself to his feet. Step this way, step this way." He led Lina down the corridors and opened a door marked reception room. "Wait here, please," he said. "The mayor is in his basement office on private business, but he will be up shortly." Lina went inside. "I'll notify the mayor," said Baron Snowd. "Please have a seat. The mayor will be right with you, or pretty soon." He left, closing the door behind him. A second later, the door opened again, and the guard's small fuzzy head reappeared. "What is the message?" he asked. "I have to give it to the mayor in person," said Lina. Of course," said the guard. The door closed again. "He doesn't seem very sure about things," Lina thought. "Maybe he's new at his job." The reception room was shabby, but Lina could tell that it had once been impressive. The walls were dark red, with brownish patches where the paint was peeling away. In the right-hand wall was a closed door. An ugly brown carpet lay on the floor, and on it stood a large armchair covered in itchy-looking red material, and several smaller chairs. A small table held a teapot and some cups, and a larger table in the middle of the room displayed a copy of the book of the city of Ember, lying open as if someone were going to read from it. Portraits of all the mayors of the city since the beginning of time hung on the walls, staring solemnly from behind pieces of old window glass. Lana sat in the big armchair and waited. No one came. She got up and wandered around the room. She bent over the book of the city of Ember, and read a few sentences. The citizens of Ember may not have luxuries, but the foresights of the buildings who filled the storerooms at the beginning of time has ensured that they will always have enough, and enough it is all that a person of wisdom needs. She flipped a few pages. The gathering hall clock, she read, measures the hours of night and day. It must never be allowed to run down. Without it, how would we know when to go to work and when to go to school? How would the light director know when to turn the lights on, to turn them off again? It is the job of the timekeeper to wind the clock every week and to place the date in Harkin Square every day. The timekeeper must perform these duties faithfully. Lina knew that not all timekeepers were as faithful as they should be. She heard of one some years ago who often forgot to change the date sign, so that it might say Wednesday, week 38, year 2020, 227. For several days in a row, there had even been timekeepers who forgot to wind the clock so that it might stand at noon or at midnight for hours at a time, causing a very long day or a very long night. The result was that no one really knew anymore exactly what day of the week it was, or exactly how many years it had been since the building of the city they called this the year 241, but it might have been 245 or 239 or 250. As long as the clock's deep boom rang out every hour and the lights went on and off more or less regularly, it didn't seem to matter. Lina left the book and examined the pictures of the mayors. The 7 mayor, Podmorthwart, was her great-great-grandfather. She didn't know how many greats. Grandfather. He looked quite dreary. Lina thought his cheeks were long and hollow, his mouth turned down. Cheeks were at the corners, and there was a lost look in his eye. The picture she liked best was of the 4th mayor, Jeanne Larquette, who had a serene smile and fuzzy black hair. And still no one came. She heard no sounds from the hallway. Maybe they'd forgotten her. Lina went over to close the door in the right-hand wall. She pulled it open and saw stairs going up. Maybe while she waited, she'd just see where they went. She started upward, and the top of the first flight was a closed door. Carefully, she opened it. She saw was another closed door. Carefully, she opened it. She saw another hallway and more closed doors. She shut the door and kept going. Her footsteps sounded loud on the wood, and she was afraid someone would hear her and come and scold her. No doubt she was not supposed to be here, but no one came, and she climbed on, passing another closed door. The gathering hall was the only building in Ember with 3 stories. She had always wanted to stand on its roofs and look out at the city. Maybe from there it would be possible to see beyond the city into the unknown regions. If the bright city of her drawings were really exist, it would be out there somewhere. At the top of the stairs, she came to a door marked roof, and she pushed it open. Chilly air brushed against her skin. She was outside. Ahead of her was a flat gravel surface, and about 10 paces away, she could see the wall of the clock tower. She went to the edge of the roof. From there, she could see the whole of Ember. Directly below was Harkin Square, where people were moving this way and that, all of them appearing from this top-down view, more round than tall. Beyond Harkin Square, the lighted windows of the buildings made checkered lines, yellow and black, row after row, in all directions. She tried to see farther across the unknown regions, but she couldn't. At the edges of the city, the lights were so far away that they made a kind of haze. She could see nothing beyond them but blackness. She heard a shout from the square below. "Look!" A small but piercing voice. Someone on the roof! She saw a few people stop and look up. Who is that? She thought. Who is that? Who is it? What is she doing up there? Someone cried. More people gathered until a crowd was standing on the steps of the gathering hall. They see me, Lina thought, and it made her laugh. She waved at the crowd and did a few steps from the Bugfoot Scurry dance, which she'd learned on Clothing Square dance day. And they laughed and shouted from some more. Then the door behind her burst open. A huge guard with a bushy black beard was suddenly running toward her. "Halt!" she shouted. Though she wasn't going anywhere, she grabbed her by the arm. "What are you doing here?" "I was just curious," said Lina, in her most innocent voice. "I wanted to see the city from the roof." She read the guard's name badge. It said Rig Stamp Mark, Chief Guard. "Curiosity leads to trouble," said Rig Stab Mark. He peered down at the crowd. "You have caused a commotion." He pulled her toward the door and hustled her down. With 3 flights of stairs, they came out into the waiting room. Barrington Snod, standing there, flustered, his jaw twitching from side to side. Next to him was the mayor. "A child causing trouble." Mayor Cole," said the chief clerk. The mayor glared at him. "I recall your face from society. Shame, disgracing yourself in your new job." "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I was looking for you, and so I can deliver a message." "Shall we put her for a person room for a day or two?" The mayor frowned. He pondered a moment. "What is the message?" He said he bent down so that Lina could speak into his ear. She noticed that he smelled like overcooked turnips. "Delivery at 8, Lina whispered from Looper. The mayor smiled a tight smile. He turned to the guard. "Just a child's antics, he said. "We will let it go this time. From now on," he said to Lina, "behave yourself." "Yes, Mr. Mayor," Lina said. "And you," said the mayor, turning to his assistant guard and shaking a thick finger at him. "Watch visitors much more carefully." Barrington Snod blinked and nodded. Lina ran for the door. Outside, the small crowd was still standing by the steps. A few of them cheered as Lina came out. Others frowned at her and muttered words like mischief, silliness, and show-off. Lina felt embarrassed. Suddenly, she hadn't meant to show off. She hurried past out the hall into Otterwell Street and started to run. She didn't see Doone, who was among those watching her. She had been on his way home from his first day in the pipeworks. When he came across the cluster of people gazing up on the roof of the gathering hall and laughing, he was tired and chilly. The bottoms of his pants legs were wet, and mud clung to his shoes and smeared his hands. When he raised his eyes and saw the small figure next to the clock tower, he realized right away it was Lina. He saw her raise her arm and wave and hop about. For a second, he wondered what it would be like to be up there, looking out over the whole city, laughing and waving. When Lina came down, he wanted to speak to her, but he knew he was filthy looking and that she would ask him questions he didn't want to answer. So he turned away, walking fast. He headed for home. That's the end of chapter 2. Good night and sweet dreams. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can also hit the notification bell when my new stories are up. Thank you. See you in my next video.